Welcome Sagittarius to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 25th of March for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing your event chart at midnight as we go into the new week. And we can see that the Moon has just moved into the sign of Libra, which for you is house 11. The Moon's obviously about how we feel about things, but it's also our need for protection, security. And it's in a house 11, it's asking you as it comes into the opposition with the Sun, and we have the penumbral lunar eclipse, to really think about whether you as an individual, the position of the Sun in Aries, is manifesting your desires in a way which fits your long-term plan, the position of the Moon, or are you being deflected by the needs of friends and associates a little bit too much? Of course, since we had the solar eclipse in Libra last October the 14th. That gave you a chance to think about your long-term plans, your network and your social interaction. But did it all go quite to plan? Because that particular event was afflicted by the restless energies of Uranus, work, and the draining influence of Neptune, emotion. So I'm not sure that you got the total uplift from last October's eclipse, and this lunar eclipse can help you to assess things. Maybe one of the drawdowns from it is that you do need to manage your time a little more effectively, particularly if you feel you have been caught up in helping and supporting other people. Uranus, since it's been in Taurus for you the last 6 years, has probably provided quite a lot of change, sometimes some big stimulation, but possibly a lot of disruption in your daily routines. Now, you may have learnt a lot of new skills, perhaps to do with technology, or you're showcasing your abilities in a fresh way from where you were at the start of that process. But if it has felt that it has been impacting all this change and disruption, your ability to be more interactive and playful, that's one of the things you're going to want to change from the coming solar eclipse, which occurs on the 8th of April in your 5th house, or the 9th if you're in the southern hemisphere. But the other thing to tell you, as much as Uranus has been an agent of change, sometimes positively, sometimes challengingly, it is coming in to a conjunction by the end of this week within 3 degrees with Jupiter, your ruler. And that becomes exact on the 21st of April. So if you've done a lot of slogging away in terms of rejigging your approach, rewards will come by then. Also, you can see on the screen that Pluto is just in your 3rd house, but because the Sun moved last week with the spring vernal equinox into Aries, they're still pretty much in touch and a sextile. Now, that's one of the best aspects you can have in astrology. It can create inner change, or we can change our outer environment, but of course Pluto is about transformation. But the Sun in the 5th house is about showcasing your individual talents. And another thing that this penumbral lunar eclipse could flag up, are you in some ways diluting your showcasing of those gifts because you're caught up in supporting others rather too much? And that may be another thing that you want to reset. But what can help you clearly is the role of Mars, because late last week on Friday, Mars made its way into Pisces, where it will be through to the end of April. Now, it's not its best location in terms of sign or house, because Mars in the 4th house can be a bit grumpy and grouchy and defensive. It's a kind of Mars in Cancer energy. But what it can do is reinforce the more restrictive energies of Saturn and the more draining energies of Neptune, which have been such a challenging dimension for you recently. And also, Mars, as it makes its way through Pisces, is going to make you determined to get other people to take a bit more responsibility around the domestic load. So if you have been doing too much, whether it's at work, whether it's socially, checking in on people, or it is to do with the home environment, This is a time with Mars's help to set your boundaries more firmly, and that is something to be gained. But certainly because Venus and Jupiter are still in touch through to Wednesday of this week, something good, some good news could come up around a property matter, or maybe it is around a job, especially if you do work in your locality, provide a support service in an emotional context, such as being a counsellor, therapist, a healer, alternative practitioner, a psychic, an astrologer. Something good, some good news can emerge by the middle of this week when Venus then applies to Uranus. But to get that piece of good news, it does require an ability to flex. Uranus in Taurus can be a bit resistant to that because it's a fixed sign, but something could occur which you need to make a quick decision on, and if you do, it could actually be very, very positive for you. Now, the other thing to tell you is that Mercury is now in its pre-retrograde shadow. By the end of this week, it will be going retrograde, but the good news is it's forging a semi-sextile to Neptune. Listen to your instincts, even about the creative stuff. It will guide you. But the big reset this week is making sure that you're not getting too scattered in dealing with everyone else's needs in a way which diminutes your need to showcase your star quality, which is what the cluster of energy in Aries is about. But at the same time, you'll probably want to honour and support your friendships. So that means properly explaining your situation and why it's been more difficult for you to be as interactive as you would like the last 6 months, but also being a bit sterner about other people taking more notice of your personal situation and the demands you have, and getting them to tune in and support you where needed. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great week. If you've yet to subscribe, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol.